Cashflow Diary Podcast, episode 190.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leverage streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cashflow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's Cashflow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cashflow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here today and that you're listening. I've said it before, and I've say it again. One of the best ways to go out there to build your business, to attract the investors, to get those customers, to tell everybody who you are and what you do is to educate so that you can dominate your particular marketplace and area. One of the best methods for educating and dominating today is obviously right there on your phone. If you say, what does that mean, Jay? Well, obviously, many of you are listening in an audio format right now, but we all know that video consumption is on the rise between Facebook and YouTube. And oh my gosh, when it comes to being able to distribute your message, there are many channels through which you can do this today. And the barrier has never been lower. But none of that matters if you still don't have a strategy and you don't know what you're doing. And today's guest is going to help you figure that out. Today we have with us Mary Jo Cranmore. She's former Good Morning America field producer, local NBC and ABC news producer, and partner in the content marketing agency Client Cycle Marketing. Now, what does that mean? That means she knows video and can make you and I look good. And most importantly, if you have ever struggled with the words, who am I? What does my business mean? And how on earth do I communicate that to perfect strangers? I'm guessing she has a clue. So let's find out what she has to say and how she can help you and I, and most importantly, build that cash flow. Help me welcome Mary Jo. You there?
I am. Hi, Jay. How are you?
So far, so good. Glad that you are here. Thanks for taking the time off the lake to chat with us a little bit.
Absolutely.
So many people who have listened for a while, they know the first question I'm about to ask you, and you don't, which is great for me and possibly terrifying for you. I look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes. So, you can take Wonder Woman and you can call Black Widow and you've got Spider-Man and Superman and all those things. And I look like entrepreneurs. I think they do the same thing as superheroes. They get dressed up occasionally. They use their special skills to save people from their own mess and hopefully make the world better. That's kind of the same thing.
That's right. Yeah.
However, just like a superhero, before the superhero was super, they were just a person for the most part. And they got maybe bit by a spider, some radioactive energy happened, and they had an origin story. They started somewhere. So before you were doing all of these great things and teaching and helping entrepreneurs educate their marketplaces and dominate through video, etc., what I would really like to know is, who is Mary Jo Cranmore?
Well, I am an entrepreneur myself, and I knew that because I'm terrible at jobs. And
Wow.
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that because I was terrible at jobs. But here's the thing. I was lucky enough to find a thread of what I was really good at way back when. And the thread was I really cared about stories, and I cared about television and cool people on TV, and I cared about what was going on in the world. So the only thing I could think of to do would be to go to journalism school. And I thought, I get to write stories about people and ask, and I'm really nosy, by the way. I get to ask a lot of questions and find out what's going on with them and find out why why they're doing what they're doing. Well, journalism school's for me. So I transferred. I was at Providence College and moved over to University of Wisconsin in Madison, which is a fantastic place. And I went to journalism school and film school sort of at the same time, because I wasn't sure if I was going to go the more creative, the creative route of film, or if I wanted to jump right into TV news. And the practical side in me pushed me towards TV news. So that's what I did. I worked, believe it or not, I started out in politics. I was, that's the ultimate storytelling, right?
Uh-oh.
I mean, the ultimate storytelling. And I was a producer's assistant for Dick Kay, who was a very well-known political reporter back in the day in Chicago. And that was just a fantastic experience and showed me how much I really did not want to be in politics.
Yes.
It was great. It was great. And, I have to say, I've had several of those experiences where I think I want to go in a direction and I get there and I go, ew, this is it? I don't want this. So I was able to, move away from that and do other, sort of move as a regular producer. And boy, when you're a regular producer, you move all over the country. I was fortunate enough to work with some fantastic people along the way. Shepard Smith was one of our reporters, and Susie Culver was a sports gal in West Palm, and just Dan Lothian from NBC, just all these amazing people who are doing really, really good work. And at the time, they were just kids starting out like me. So it was fun. It was a fun ride. We all sort of lived together and had no money, as starting out in news reporting, it's very, very hard to make a living. So you're all like 6 people in an apartment kind of a thing. So we did have a lot of fun. And finally I made my way to Miami and Hurricane Andrew came through and I was like, damn, this place is going to fall into the ocean. I better get out of here.
They say the same thing about us in California, but
That's right. That's right. So I went to a station in Portland, Maine. I moved up there in a blinding snowstorm from Miami, and everybody thought I was nuts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Some people might not even know where Maine is, and you might be the second person I've ever talked to say that they've been there, but okay.
Well, I didn't know it was Maine. First, my friend, who was a reporter I worked with somewhere along the line, called me and said, I have a executive producer job here in Portland. Would you like it? And I said, Portland, Oregon is too far away from my family in New England. And he was like, no, Portland, Maine. And so I thought, okay, well, you know what? It was only a couple hours from my mom, who was getting older at the time. I thought, let's give this a shot. So I fell in love with Portland, Maine, and it really has some wonderful restaurants. I mean, there's just a lot of great stuff about Portland to talk about. And I ended up living in or around Portland for about 15 years. Which is, I never thought I was going to get off the train in Portland, Maine, as they say, but I did. And that's where, working as an executive producer for 3 or 4 years, and then having the good luck to come across an assignment for Good Morning America. When we went into Iraq, the first kid to be killed in Iraq was from Maine. So that's how that happened. They needed somebody on the assignment. And I was like, boy, this is a terrible, terrible assignment.
Right.
And, the thing is, the thing I learned from being in TV news is you can talk to anyone. If you can talk to someone at the worst time of their life, which is if you're on the news, it's probably the worst time of your life.
Right.
Or you've won the lottery. There's very little in between.
Well, hold on. Winning the lottery for some could also be the worst time of their life.
That's very true. So I figured I learned this skill of being able to talk to anybody. And my inspiration has been Bill Geist. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He works for CBS Sunday Morning. I think now he has Parkinson's. I'm not sure. But Willie Geist is his son. And Bill Geist did a segment every week called Everyone Has a Story. And he would go to the New York Public Library and pull out a phone book somewhere, and he would plunk his thumb down and go, okay, Bill Nelson in Ottumwa, Iowa, you're my story this week.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And you know what? Everyone does have a story.
Right.
And what I learned from him was it takes a very talented, inquisitive journalist to be able to pull that out of people. And that's why when you're an entrepreneur, it's very difficult sometimes to see your own story.
Oh, darn near impossible.
Exactly, because you're standing on it. It's like the end of your nose. It's plain to everyone else, but you can't see it.
Well, what's worse than that is that we end up, at least I know, okay, before I say we, I'm going to say me. Me end up with the whole, what do I have to say and who on earth wants to hear anything about me? Right. But this becomes your very thing that you're good at.
That's right. That's right. Because,
Yeah.
Well, it's that people don't see, and look, I am among the people who don't see it. You know, I have also been, since I'm always behind the scenes, I did not get in front of a camera until I was 40 years old.
Uh-oh.
And I was not driven to be the center of attention, which is funny to most of people who know me, because I'm like the, clown of the party. But in this function, I find it fascinating to be able to hear what people are saying and, oh, there's something there, and just sort of travel down that route. And you'd be surprised at what comes out of people, what things they don't know about themselves, and that they just blow off as not important, that no one else will care about this, or no one else needs to know. And they're wrong about it. They're just wrong about it. And it takes somebody like me to be able to say, hey, you know what? I know somebody who wants that. I'm also a connector. Right. And to be able to see someone's value and what they have to share, I think that's what my job is. So that's why I do what I do.
And, there are a couple of things that you've mentioned, okay, more than a couple, but as we're talking that I think I want to make sure everybody picks up on. I mean, you called yourself nosy, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, yeah, I get that. But what I really interpret that to mean is that you just care. You care, and therefore, naturally, you don't need prompting to come up with questions about what someone just said. You just you can talk, you can ask questions all day. But what I want people to hear is that learning that skill, learning to ask questions, and as you said, talk to anybody. That's totally a skill set that can be learned. Obviously over time. Now, I'm not saying you have to go down the Good Morning America route and go through all this new stuff to make it happen. But that's how it came out for you.
Yeah, right.
And,
that's right.
Through the things that we often are some of our greatest opportunities are disguised in ways, that we're not considering. I mean, you thought you were on your way to Oregon, but
right.
Go figure.
No.
Not Oregon.
Not Oregon. No.
No offense to anyone listening in Oregon, but it was Maine that won this time, and that's what I find that's interesting. But one of the most important things that you said, and I think this is key, and I would love to hear more about this. You said that there were a number of times in which you got to learn not so much what you wanted to do, but the things that you now knew. I really don't want to do this. Yeah. That implies a couple of things. One, you were unsure but took action anyway. And two, you knew when to say, you know what, enough of this. It's time to change direction and go somewhere else. Oh, yeah. Where did that come from?
Wow. I am somebody who I am a risk taker. I will definitely say that, because I found myself in some pretty tight spots, and I'm currently in a tight spot. So, living through things, the only way out is through. And I'm not, I know that I can come out the other end because I've done it. And that's one of those things that, like, when you make mistakes, when I come across people who are so terrified of making mistakes, I have a few in my own family that very much ridicule my way of doing things, which is, hey, I'm going to try. Because my father was a CEO of a large company, and his thing to me was always, why not? Let's try.
Right.
And that gave me permission to go down a road and maybe make a mistake. But if you look at it as what have I picked up from this experience? Because I always do. I always, even if it's just the resiliency to say, well, this was a mistake. If whatever I have picked up from that, I have always used again, somewhere down I don't know where I'm going to use it, but now I've got a couple of drivers and some really great, pitch putt things. And I've got some cool tools in my bag,
Right.
so it may not, I don't know. Sometimes I use the Zelda thing where I've got like the knife and the little potion and all this stuff. That's true too, right? You pick those up as you go, and that people who are gamers will get that. Like the whole point of going to the mountain was to get the dagger, right? And now we've got to move on. So you can't look at anything. The insurance company commercials about, hey, they get married and they buy a house, and then all of a sudden they're retired on the porch. It doesn't. It doesn't really work like that, and
only in that 30-second commercial.
Only in the 30-second commercial, and I hope to God it doesn't work like that for most of the people on this call, because I think that the part of it, the journey of it, and the going, oh boy, I made a mistake, even in the face of some, like I have some very big people who are looking for me to make a mistake or looking for me to be successful. You can't care. And it's taken me a long time to get to that place too, where I can't care about that.
Right.
That's not my job to care about that.
Now,
so
for everyone listening, just in case, I don't want to lose anybody here. What she was referencing was one of the greatest video games of all time, known as Legend of Zelda. If you don't know about it, you need to go.
Ocarina of Time.
You just don't understand. They're like, what? They're talking about a video game. I love it. Yes, it was the best thing ever. If you
ever.
Like, oh, how on earth? They're like, how old are these people? Anyway, the point is, it was a great game. You should have been there, and it's not too late. Go back, and you may need the original Nintendo if you've ever seen one.
I know. Well, I'm going to be 50 this year, so I did not. I started out in TV news with a typewriter and no access to any kind of internet thing.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Now I know, and now we're in a totally different place. So I can honestly say, like, the technology curve has been part of my life for sure.
You get scooped by Twitter.
Yeah, for sure.
You're like, I was good at, and you got to beat the kid with the cell phone.
Yeah, forget it.
It's a whole different world in your place. But there's something that you mentioned that I want to make sure. You said the only way out is through, and yes, I agree with you 100%. Mm-hmm. Now, you said that you were able to give yourself permission to make a mistake. Here's the question. Mm-hmm. Why do you think so many entrepreneurs are unable? I think there's a ton that are on the sidelines. There's a lot of people who have something of value to offer, but they won't give themselves permission to fail, and they're sitting on the sidelines because they want to get it right the first time.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you something. This flows directly into the video conversation, because a lot of the reason why people don't do video is because they're afraid of looking stupid. And I am here to tell you that if you are afraid to look stupid, you will not have a future as an entrepreneur. Part of being an entrepreneur is looking stupid. And it's just
okay, hold on. Say
that
again.
To be that way.
I just want people to hear that and hear the fact that you're just like, you're happy about it and that it's relaxed. One more time. They need to hear that.
Part of being an entrepreneur is looking stupid. And what that means is, I was on a call this morning with a client who has to be right, which means he's uncoachable, unteachable, and has no room for new information. That is death when it comes to being an entrepreneur, because you are constantly looking to innovate. As an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to say, that's not working as well as I want it to work. What did I do? Let's follow back and let's see how I can fix that. That means somewhere you were wrong. I mean, I still have a friend, who believes in things that she believed in 1992, even though she's a completely different person now. She has not added that new information. All of that living has gone. I hope it's not wasted, but it's gone sort of by her. And she has not moved forward. That's exactly what you're saying. with video or anything else until it's absolutely perfect. And perfect, right, all of those things are just euphemisms for getting it right out of the box. There just is no such thing anymore. You know, the internet and everything, our technology is evolving so fast. Experts on Twitter or Facebook, they still don't know everything. And if they're smart, they will tell you that. I don't know everything. I'm learning as I go, but this is what I have learned.
Yep.
Those are the best ones. Those are the best ones.
Well, and you just is something I just want to underscore for everybody. It's not like I've met Mary Jo before, even though you're hearing some of the same things, especially if you've been a listener for a while, because Mary Jo, you don't know this, but one of the phrases I often say is there are two things you cannot do simultaneously. You cannot learn and look good. It just doesn't happen. And if you ever doubted that, just, record yourself doing anything. You're like, oh, God, it does not. It never looks good at the beginning.
Oh, God, it's so awkward and weird. And, you know, the thing is, when I teach video to people, I say to them, I want you to record video about stuff you know, like your vacation or your kids, you know, flute lesson or whatever it is. Record a video about that, something you love, something that's really important to you, and then keep those videos and move toward doing videos about your work and keep them all, because I want to show you how terrible you were in the beginning and how far you've come in a short time. And that will bring you confidence.
You know, what's funny is that we've had, I've run into some of our listeners as well as some people who look at our YouTube channel and who have volunteered the information, things like, wow, you're much better than you used to be. And I'm like, thanks. You've been listening a while. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the process, isn't it? That's part of the journey that you're referring to. Now, one of the things that I want to delve into just for a small second is just like every superhero, there comes that point where they realize, hey, I got a superpower. Yeah, yours developed through some trials, et cetera, but we go, I have a superpower. I can make a difference. I can help people, but you still have to make that second most important decision. I will go out there and offer my unique ability to the world in some form of fashion, quote unquote, on my own. For most people, that's a total terrifying moment, and they never cross that line.
Yeah.
How did you manage to muster up the courage to say, you know what? I'm planting my flag. This is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make sure if it kills me, you will tell your story. Okay. You probably figured this out by now, but I care. Here's what I mean by that. You must care. Many people are going to ask you many questions about the business that you're out there looking to build, and you're going to doubt yourself from time to time, but that's okay. You must care more than that doubt. Most importantly, that's where that courage, that's going to be the source for most of you. That's where that courage is going to come from, to go out there and do it anyway, to say, hey, here's my product, here's my service. It's definitely something that is needed. Guys, you can make it happen. It's going to be awesome. Just go out there and take one more step towards it. No matter what you think you need to do, just take the next step, and I think you'll be a little bit closer. Speaking of next steps, you might want to pick up a copy of my 10 Steps to Creating Wealth in Any Economy, also known as the Cashflow Diary book. You can get a free electronic copy by sending a text message to 72,000. That's 72000, 72000. And the keyword is book, BOOK. Do that real quickly, and what'll happen for you is you will get a link, give us your details, and you'll be able to go ahead and download a copy of the book and begin reading it and going through it and beginning some of those steps that you need to take to make things happen. Guys, it's going to happen one step at a time, one day at a time, one thought at a time. I know you wish you could happen in a weekend or within a 30-minute episode like they show you on HGTV. It just doesn't work that way. But here's the good news. Step by step, you can absolutely get there. And let's find out what Mary Jo had to say in terms of where her courage came from.
I got to tell you, I was shoved into it kicking and screaming.
Of course.
And because all of these things, all this stuff and me talking about you can't be perfect, you're going to look stupid. What do you think that 25 years of corporate career life when you hate it is?
Yep.
It's the fact that I wasn't able to cross that until I worked for a very large agency, a great agency, by the way, up in Portland after I left the media. And I was director of client service, working with Discovery Channel and Ann Taylor and things like that. And clients like that who were just phenomenal, great clients to work with. And 2008, that agency, along with most of the marketing world, went over a cliff.
Yeah. No parachute.
No parachute. They did not innovate their product or service enough to compete with internet. And I will tell you, it's an experiential agency. So what that means is we would do live events. So Shark Week or something like that. We would go to Miami Beach and we would do events, live events. It's very expensive to do those things. Mm-hmm. Lots of people are required, lots of logistical hours and things like that, shipping and whatnot. So they didn't innovate enough at the time, and they have now recovered. But it went from 450 people to, I think, 50 people overnight, nearly overnight. Yeah, it was a pretty precipitous fall. And so I found myself, I had gone through a divorce and sold my home to my ex-husband, a very amicable divorce, happily. He wanted to go in a different direction, and I did too. And the agency, this was all in a 3-month period.
Oh, wow.
So all of a sudden, everything went away. And it was absolutely a vacuum. And I had no idea, literally no idea what to do. And I thought the state of Maine is spitting me out because I had moved across, I had moved 22 times in my adult life, and it's a lot of moving and you're just used to it. And I thought, okay, well, this is over. And it was, this is over. So I came back to Northern Connecticut where I grew up, and I found myself a little cottage, and I luckily had some money from the house. And I said, well, what do I do now? And I heard myself saying, oh, well, I'm just going to start a TV show. Because who doesn't do that,
thought.
right? Who doesn't do that? So,
you know what, Mary Jo? I had that same thought. That's exactly it. I'm just going to do a TV show. Yeah.
I'm just going to make a TV show. And I was like, because I had learned over time producing television and producing feature television, meaning, more sort of programming for Nesson, for other places that was not news programming. I can do this. And I went to a TV station in Springfield, Mass., which is a fairly small market, so I could get away with this. And I said, I want to make a TV show. And because I had been a producer, they actually listened to me. And surprisingly enough, and the head of the station took his magazine, which was all the local businesses in the area, and he threw it at me and he goes, okay, there's your list. And I made a TV show, and I made that station $250,000 in some short period of time. And they were like, wow, this actually works. And I said, yeah, because you don't do any business news. You don't focus on entrepreneurs in this area or what they're doing. And they all have cool stuff to say. And they're paying for the privilege of doing that. What does that teach you? That teaches you that these people need a platform for their voice. And so I created that, and all of those people became clients. And that's how I started the agency.
That's awesome. But at the same time, I want everyone to hear, out of those proverbial ashes and fire and out of emergency, things emerge. And then you didn't know, you couldn't have scripted any of this.
No.
You just went with those impulses that say, hey, this is the direction. I'm sure most of the people listening today woke up and said, you know what, I'm going to start a TV show. But you were the one that said, I'm going to do it. And you went and got it done. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, we all get those ideas that are just out there, or at least they sound out there to us. But you had the courage to actually follow it through. So give us a little bit, now that you've got some things going, tell us a little bit more. What does client cycle marketing do for clients, and who is that person, and who do you do it for?
We work with entrepreneurs, and my particular job is to help them get their story out there in a big way. So I have, in my travels, in my career, you haven't even heard any about this stuff, but I have done book publicity. I have, as a former member of the media, I understand what it's like to be on television and how annoying it is for PR people to harangue you all the time. but what is the way to actually get somebody on TV and be successful about it? So client cycle marketing is founded on the idea that everyone has a story. And my partner, Michael, is a sales guy, straight up sales guy. He teaches people about taking that story that we've created, and you can call it a brand, you can call it your 11-second elevator speech. It unfolds into everything you're doing. And he takes it and unfolds it into your sales conversation. How does that work? How are you effectively telling who you are, showing the results of that, asking for the business, all the while people think it's a warm cup of cocoa and a foot rub. And it's not annoying. It's not salesy. It's not any of those things. Because I did not understand that I was selling. I didn't understand that, but I was, because that's what I was doing. I was sharing my story. I was telling them and giving them confidence. You can do this, because I never wanted to be in front of a camera ever.
Here's a secret, Mary Jo. Just between me, you, and the thousands listening, I still don't want to be in front of the camera or the microphone.
Yep, that's right.
It's just part of what the mission requires, is that somebody's got to do it. And, for whatever reason, I was nominated. So, and I continue to do it, and I've had to develop the skill set, because I am naturally introverted and shy. You take me to a party and I'm going to find the darkest corner, cheese and crackers, and be quite happy about it.
That's right.
That's just the way it is. However, when you've got something to say, or more important, people that you can help, the mission is bigger than yourself, and you've got to go out there and tell that story. So let me drop this on you just for a small second. We deal with a number of new, either real estate investors or investors in general, or people starting their business. And so when someone comes to you and says something like, "That's not me," what are they really saying? How do you hear that? How do we work around? Because like I know, if you don't educate, you're never going to dominate. You can't attract the individuals to you. So how do we get through that part?
There is when people talk about not being on video, not being on camera, not doing this kind of a thing that will, because they're afraid of the haters, and they're afraid of what if someone sees me that, and I'm saying something that is wrong, or, because we make mistakes. Okay. You're gonna make mistakes. Just be aware of that's how the situation is. It used to be 5 years ago when I was, or 7 years ago, actually, I've had this agency for 7 years. It was kind of an option. You could decide to do it or not. But now your customers are demanding it. They are not giving you a choice anymore. So my goal is to help you see, within the hash marks of your own personality, how can we, because I don't want to turn you into a circus clown, because guess what? That's not who you are.
Right.
And authenticity is a very overused buzzword these days, but for a good reason. Because if you are yourself, I know I have attracted all kinds of amazing people to me. I have a woman calling me from Miami who's written this amazing book, and I'm going to get to make a TV show for her. I did not go out there and solicit that, but I wish I had, because she's so awesome.
Right.
She heard me speaking one day and came to me. So I had enough courage to get up there and speak, get on these calls and do podcasts and do radio shows and do TV shows, because I want to expand my capability of just the one-to-one call. Right. I want to expand my ability to do that. So for everybody out there who's saying they can't do it, I have a story for you. His name is Paul, and he is a plumber, and he is the plumber. Paul the plumber literally is the most introverted guy. Okay. He never wants to talk to people. He barely can sell himself, blah, blah, blah. I have him doing video. Okay. Because I inspired something in him. He loves what he does, and he is so damn good at it. And that little spark in there, he loves to educate people about what he does, because he is sick and tired, even though it's probably sent his kid to college. He is sick and tired of coming into someone's house and going, "Oh my God, this was totally preventable."
Right.
And so I have him saying, I'm like, "Okay, Paul, guess what? You're going to take that cell phone And when you go down into the basement and you see that ring around the toilet on the bottom there, and you know what's going to happen in 3 months, I want you to shoot that and say, go down into your basement right now and look underneath your plumbing. If you see this, I want you to call me right now, because I'm going to save you 10 grand if you see that and you call me today. Nice. And he's got a ton of client. And look, that is a very good example of somebody who is running a sort of a mom and pop operation, how they can use video. There are examples, sometimes people come and they're like, well, I'm a service guy. I don't have a physical thing I can show. So video's not my thing. And it's a good excuse, but you are what you're showing, right? It's your expertise that you need to teach. You need to share. Well, that's why they pay me. But guess what? They're still going to pay you. They're still going to pay you because you have the body of knowledge. A tip is not the body of knowledge. Right. You have a much bigger skill set. You see how it all fits together. Those are the things they're going to pay you to do.
Well, you're bringing up some really. I'm just excited because you're bringing up some really interesting points that I'm afraid that someone might miss, because I know someone somewhere said, because I know you guys. You're saying, well, Jay, I don't want to sell and real estate. I just want to be this small little, over here. I'm not trying to take over the world. I don't really have to do this. That sounds like a whole lot of extra work and all of these things. I know that's what you're saying, and you can write me later saying, yes, Jay, that was me. I was saying that. That's completely fine. I just want you to hear, plumber is local too. He's not trying to take over. He's not trying to be a Roto-Rooter or, any of the other names you might know that are nationwide and large. No, he's not trying to do that. He put his kid to college. He's trying to, build his life. And we still all are subject to this in various different levels and forms. So, and service, I love that one too. I mean, would you say then, in order to to be the entrepreneur that could benefit from this, that you would have to develop an abundance mentality? Because that's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I 100% subscribe to that. I think that what you need to understand is the way people purchase today is different than the way people purchased even 10 years ago. The way they're purchasing today is, do you have the expertise? That is the first challenge. But do I want to work with you? If I don't want to work with you, if you don't resonate with me, if what you're saying feels foreign to me, and I'm not saying that you're giving me tough love, because tough love can work too, because right. I have a coach that I work with who says playing it small is playing it broke. And she does believe in pushing people to play big. Like her already. Exactly. But what she's saying is, if you're trying to keep things small, what you're doing is you're hiding your light from the world. That is your job. Your job is to, what happens if it gets big? Are you terrified of that? I think that's worth exploring. Because if you think you're putting yourself out there and you're going to become this huge thing and you don't want that, I think it's a good thing to look at. Yeah. I really do.
It's a good thing. What's funny is that when we're afraid, and I've said this before, but when we're afraid, I think any excuse will do, and we'll take the one that our friends will justify. If our friends can nod their head to that one, that's the one we like. Yeah, that's the reason. For sure. And we just ride that pony until someone says otherwise. So, what would you say is the number one thing in the way of the entrepreneurs actually going out there to do this? I mean, obviously, because this has been something of a transition, for us. I started out as a real estate only. That's all I did, is just real estate. I had no database, no email, no website, nothing at all. And then one day, through the desire to document the process that I'd been going through for my kids, a friend said, "Hey, I bet you adults would be interested in that." And I'm like, good point. And we just start. In fact, you can go back to listen to episode 1. You'll hear. I just started trying to document this thing. And slowly over time, I've learned that, oh my gosh, I should have been doing this a long, long time ago, because it helps all facets of the business, and it feels good to share the story. And again, I'm not saying I'm perfect at sharing it, but we've gotten better. I just want you to talk about what prevents people from doing it, and just really how necessary it is at all levels. Because I've grown to now understand that it's necessary at all levels, but I want to hear it in your words.
Well, from my circle, the people I've dealt with, the people who have said no, there is a million reasons to say no. There are a million reasons to say no. The only reason to say yes is that you would be miserable doing anything else. And you know that your job, you have a thing. And how can you use that thing? You really need to understand that there are people out there who need you. I work with a lot of female entrepreneurs who have this particular problem, that they don't think they have anything anybody needs, or they're afraid, because you can't build a business without spending a little money, and sometimes a lot of money. I've spent a lot of money, but you can't build a business without spending that money. And they think it's selfish to spend money on themselves, or they think that, it's vain or arrogant for them to think that what they have is worth spending money on. And let me tell you, that will stop you every single time, because if you don't think it's worth somebody paying for it, then you're not going to have a very easy time selling it. Because what you're doing is you're asking people to give you money for that skill. And that, to me, is the foundational element. I've had to negotiate a lot of things with people to try and get them over that hump. Like, you have something. You have to see it. I have to show you that you have something of value here. And every single one of us paired not only your education and the formal learning you have, but your experience with that formal learning to make something new. You're adding your personality, you're adding your thing. Even if you're, like, for example, you're an accountant. You have been an accountant for 28 years. You have experience of working with all of those clients in those corporate environments or out of those in corporate environments. You have your own philosophy that there's no way you cannot have evolved your own philosophy about things. There's just no way. So why not give the people what they want? Those people need your help. And believe me, they are, the cool thing is the barrier to entry is very low now, because we can find each other on the internet, these great podcasts. We can hear each other speaking. Boy, the media really had it wrangled for a long period of time until the world came along and changed. And now you have an opportunity. 20 years ago, cameras were $30,000. I could never have done what I've done. Right?
Well, there are cameras that are still $30,000. It's just that an iPhone 6 does the same thing. So
yeah.
that's
right.
We have a studio, Mary Jo, that allows us to. I can do mobile live broadcasting, literally
awesome.
Mobile live broadcasting, just me and it. Literally, if I want to go bare bones, me and one other guy can do it. We prefer me and one other person, and
wow.
we can carry all the stuff in 2 bags on our back, and broadcast from anywhere there's a cell phone signal, and do it live. And we do a lot of that live broadcasting stuff for our members. And I think about that. I think about the barrier to entry. You can have someone in high school right now is building a YouTube following, Twitter following, I guess this new one with Periscope and Meerkat.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these things. I mean, Meerkat and Periscope is live news broadcasting. That's how I look at it. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, all you got to do is have a Periscope account and you are now just as good as the news. In fact, you're less filtered, but that's a whole other story. We're not going to talk about that.
No.
All I'm saying is, you're saying that the time it's never been easier, and the only thing that's truly in our way. Yeah, I mean, because at least you could point. He's like, I don't have $30,000 for the camera, and everybody would go, yeah, you know what?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't either. But now you go, well, do you have a phone?
Right.
Now you got no excuse.
I mean, honestly, none. I mean, people still use that barrier with me all the time. I don't have money to set up a whole studio. Well, guess what? If you have a phone or you have a computer with a webcam, you can get iMovie that comes with your computer. You can be a television station.
Right.
Okay. Think
Right.
about that, the magnitude of that.
You need an iPhone and a selfie stick and a
That's it.
mic.
That's it.
You don't even really need a mic, but to get the better audio, just the mic. It's a $9 selfie stick. You're in business.
You're
baby.
in business, and a microphone. I mean, the one thing people will not forgive is bad audio.
That's true.
And so you really need to pay attention to that. But those are $9, $15. Stop.
Crazy.
Honestly, stop.
I know, right?
And I'm on my iPhone right now, and I have my little earbuds in, and with the earbuds, a microphone comes with the earbuds in that little part of it. You really don't even have an excuse.
Oh gosh. Oh, somebody's like, dang it, they're taking away all my excuses. This is not fair. That's right. It's because we know that you've got something to share. We know that you had that business idea for a reason. Right? You started that business not to, so that you could eat, so that you didn't have to go to work. I, like you, Mary Jo, figured it took me a while, though. It took me a while to figure out that I was horrible working for someone else. It really did.
Oh, yeah.
But once I got it, I was like, I shouldn't do this. I'm a horrible employee. You shouldn't hire me. Let me tell you why. It was stuff like that. But learning to develop these new skill sets is scary. You clearly have done it, and you've walked people through this gauntlet. And having your experience, you are uniquely qualified to walk someone through, putting their first videos online, building that YouTube channel, or whatever, however they're going to use video. You got to let us know if someone wants to begin to find out, all right, Mary Jo, I believe you. I should take a step forward. Give us how can they get in contact with you today so that they can get that process started? Because I know, like the law of diminishing intent is about to take over here, where they're like, yes, I should. But if you don't give them away, they may not take it.
Well, I'm going to make it super easy and give you no reason, no barrier to entry. You don't have to go anywhere or download anything. I'm going to give you a phone number. And the phone number is this, 860-709-4216. Write it down. I'll give it to you again in a minute. Because what I'm saying right now is I'm giving everybody an opportunity to ask their questions, to get through some of these barriers, to figure out how they can start. Just get started. I'm going to help you do that. So if you call that number, I'm giving 30-minute strategy sessions, which I do for new clients. When I bring on new clients, I do a strategy session with them. This is pretty much the same thing, and I'm giving it to you for free. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about where you are, and a little bit of my strategic marketing obviously flows into these conversations. It's not just about video, and many times I recommend a couple things that happen before you get to video, but what I'm going to suggest you do is you start video and how you can start it. I'm going to give you some assignments. I'm going to give you ways of thinking about it. I'm going to not care about the blocks that you have. and I'm going to try and help you see what value will be proffered through those videos and how you can make that happen for yourself.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, much like I did earlier in the show, I just want to let everybody know a phone is what we used before Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. So hopefully you can still find this technology available to be able to dial those 10 digits and give Mary Jo a call. Now, I have a final question for you, if you will.
Okay.
There's likely someone listening who is, we'll say they're standing in front of the superhero outfit store right now. They're like, I bet you I can. And they're probably looking up, the color of the cape and wondering, should I wear a mask or not?
No capes.
Yeah, right. We learned that very well. No capes. But they're still trying to pick out their outfit, figure out, should I, will it? Oh, I hear what she's saying, and that would be a great way to reach customers, but I just don't know. What would you say to that person who has that fire inside of them, but has not yet fully embraced it?
Well, I will say this. I will say, take consistent action. And the important word, all of those three words are very important. Consistent action, not just taking action, but taking consistent action is going to move you towards something. So you're going to record or I'm going to get you to the place where you're going to record a video or two, and then you're going to go, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening. No one's seeing it. Nothing's happening. And then you're going to make that evidence that it doesn't work. And I'm here to tell you what we do, our work together, is to give you a roadmap so you can see ahead. Okay, I'm going to have to do this for 6 months. It's going to become part of my routine. Just like if you get all upset that you're 20 pounds overweight and you go down and you do furious amounts of burpees and pull-ups and stuff, and you're like, I'm still 20 pounds overweight. Yeah, that's right. It didn't happen overnight. But you didn't get that way overnight either. So you've got to understand that consistent action is what my recommendation is. That's the only thing that's going to help you move forward. And you've got to see that vision. What gets you out of bed in the morning is the vision. It's not like even the smaller things of paying off the bills or sending a kid to college. Those are awesome goals. But what's your vision? What does it look like? What does the life that you want look like? That's the thing that's going to pull you through fretting over credit card bills or making debt or fretting over, a million things that are going to go wrong, and they're going to go wrong. You just can't have this utopian view because that will stop you. If you have a utopian view, that's for sure what's going to stop you.
Absolutely agreed. Well, Mary Jo, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to invest with us here at the Cashflow Diary. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean? That means get over to clientcyclemarketing.com. That means call her on the phone. Take a step. You're listening on the phone. Just call 860-709-4216. Done. Do it. Well, how difficult could that be? I know this. I know that you heard something. I know some of you have been wondering, how on earth can I get started, attract more investors, and make things happen? This is probably a good way to begin building that cash flow for yourself as well. Guys, it's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.